also got to say some things about what we're going to be doing the rest of this morning, because first I want to talk a little bit with all of you about the exercise that Adamus presented yesterday, and just finding out how everybody responded to that. This is to see if it worked or didn't work. As I told you when we all came in, there are some people who are having a little bit of effects, let's call it effects, from the energy that we started up yesterday. I know Imzaia is feeling those effects. And also one of our fellowship is still down in bed right now, but I guess that will all work itself out. How are you guys feeling since we did that exercise now? Is it different? Are you still feeling the fears?
Yes, different.
Different? You see how easy it is. How easy it is to change your energy, to change so many things about you. And so often we just keep running around with the same pain and the same disease and the same worries about life. And doing something as easy as this can just turn it. Can just turn it all around.
Actually, starting that energy up made me even feel more worse.
Yeah, but you have to keep building it up, you see. That's what people do so many times. You get right up to the point of a barrier, and instead of stepping through the barrier, you say, ooh, I'm afraid of the barrier, and I'm going to step away. And that's when you get even worse. It can never be bad if you raise your energy, because the only place where disease is and where illness is in a low energy field. It can never be in a high energy vibration. So if you want to break through something, all you have to do is step through it. And it might feel bad at first, but if you keep on doing it, if you just work through it, and if you work through the first 5 minutes or so, you will get rid of that. You will. But anyway, let's focus on the exercise that we did last night. How about that? How many of you tried the exercise? The infinity angle. All of you? Okay, that's great. Who wants to share something about that exercise?
First I tried to focus on the tree that's in my garden at home.
Yeah. Oh, you did it all the way?
Yeah, I did it all the way.
Okay.
But I think that's not a problem, because space is not there, so that's not a problem.
That's right.
But a few things happened. I felt like the connection was there, but then my mind came in. It can't be this quick. I didn't do that infinite thing, so it can't be like this.
Yeah.
And there was not an image. There were not feelings like that, but I'm not used to that, and that's making me doubt again. So I started doubting. And you told us not to try for only 15 minutes, so I did not.
You went on.
I went on.
Great.
And I started to focus on another thing.
Yeah.
A crystal in my home.
Yeah.
And again. And then I thought, well, I tried for 1 hour right now, so this must be enough. I want to sleep now, and I didn't, because I felt a bit sleepy too, and then I was thinking, okay, this is my mind again, triggering me, so. But I know this from myself, that the doubt is so big in me that it's so deeply rooted in myself, and that's what again and again is holding me back. So I went to sleep and I put my alarm clock a half hour earlier. So I decided to try again, and
this morning.
Yes, but it didn't work out. So I thought, okay, this is it. Now I have to leave home, because I can't do this. I'm the only one. All the others, they succeed, and I can't do this.
Everybody thinks that all the time.
Yes.
I am the last one to do it.
I can't do this. And I'm telling this like a bit of a joke, but it doesn't feel like that, because I feel the pain deep inside.
Of course you do. But that's your mind, still. There's so many people here, and throughout all the seminars that we present, all people always think that they're not going to make it, that they're going to be the last one to cross the bridge, that everybody around them is doing it and they're not doing it, you see.
When you told that story about Atlantis,
Yes.
I've been to Egypt in spring, and I was in front of the pyramid, the Cheops, and I felt so afraid. I didn't dare to go in. And then the one who was organizing the trip, she told, yeah, it went wrong in Atlantis. And this started with you, that you can't do this.
Yeah.
And when you told us yesterday that in Atlantis we were split up, the ones who did without the mind, and then I thought, it can't be like this, that some of the people of a group of people can't join. And then I thought, okay, this is it again.
Okay, what the Imzaia consciousness and the Shambra consciousness and the Lightworker consciousness is all about is creating that initial momentum. You should see it like, if you see unity consciousness as like a fog, right? Like a big fog, and there's a door here, and all that fog needs to go through that door, but some of it needs to start the initial movement, otherwise the rest won't follow. And that's long crossed, since that's long, we've passed that point. So there's millions of people doing this. But within those millions of people, again, there need to be those who take the first steps. Being in the awareness at the same time that you can't take the steps alone, and that you're just being the pioneers for all those other people who are still coming through as well. And the rest of the thing, of the exercise that you tried to do, it was actually very brave of you to immediately go to your house to start doing that exercise, and you immediately made the connection, as you said, with the tree and with the crystal, right? But what I think is interesting is that if you go to that house, immediately the mind comes in. Have you tried doing it with something in your room?
Yeah.
And how did that feel? Did it feel different, or?
No, I tried it with the locker.
Yeah.
The locker. And it was more difficult.
More difficult, because you could see
difficult.
the object visually.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. And also because of the object.
Yeah.
Because with the crystal I have a heart connection.
Yeah.
And with the tree also.
Yeah.
And with the locker.
Well, actually, that is a judgment.
Yeah.
That's a judgment based on form, based on shape. Because there's a shape you like, you prefer over another shape, you see. That's something that we're going to be working on in the next couple of days, to make sure that you get through that point. Because there is no difference between, you know, I brought one of my favorite crystals here, you see. But at the same time, I have no different feeling about this crystal or that stand over there, or this chair, for instance, or the shawl I'm wearing or something. To me, it's the same thing. It's the same energy. It's got the same awareness, and the same Akene energy is in there. And that is the perspective, the perception, the point of perception that you need to change, you see. You need to change that, because otherwise you're always going to be defining things around you, and you're never going to be able, before you do that, up until you do that, you're never going to be able to take that first step into it. But the fact that you felt the connection happen almost immediately is very good. Next time, just try to make sure that your mind doesn't intervene then. Because obviously, if the mind allows that process to happen, oops, you know, if you become aware of the fact that you are not your body, that you are everything around you, that's a problem for the mind, because the mind and the ego that it corresponds with wants to make you believe that you are this husk, this flesh, so that the flesh needs to be taken care of, and you need to do this and that and everything that society wants you to do, you see. So that's why the mind intervenes so quickly, but the fact also that you did it so rapidly is very positive. Today we're going to do it right here in the hall, so we're going to intervene immediately if the mind comes in. But like Adamus said last night, we wanted to have you experience it firsthand before we started doing it in group and before you start influencing each other, because that's going to happen anyway. If you do exercises with that many people, you're going to start influencing each other.
I just want to suggest to do the exercise blindfold.
Well, no, it's actually, you need the point of perception at first. Afterwards, you don't need all of that anymore. You don't need the senses. But the beginning stage is, it's very handy to use your eyes, because you're looking at the object looking back at you. And actually, you have no sense of seeing without the eyes yet. Actually, every part of your body can see. All the cells can see. It's just that you have learned to only take in that input that's coming from the eyes, right there. But we could do it later on. We could try that later on. Cocky.
We have a small wood near Hilvarenbeek, and when I walk over there, I can make connection with the trees, with the plants, with the birds, with the leaves on the ground, with the paddenstoelen.
Mushrooms.
But it isn't, I don't have the feeling that I get in the tree and the tree is coming in me, but it's all one.
That's true. That's true. That's what we're learning. This is the first part of the exercise where you learn to shift your perspective, the infinity angle. Now what we're doing now actually is, I'm just going to draw it here. We are learning now, at first, is that there is an object here, right? And then there is you here. And what you are learning is that there is divinity in between. And what you can do is create that movement, right? That's what you think you're doing, and that what is actually happening is that this point is moving into this point, and vice versa. But what you're going to be learning, this is just the first infinity angle. At a certain point, you're going to be here, and you're going to connect to this, but you're also going to connect to this, you're going to connect to this. What we're then going to get is a whole different story, and then you're going to have a point here, and here. And you're going to start doing that. Point here. That could be a flower, but that's just one level, of course. You could also do it with this point and that point. And what you'll get in the end is an entire field, basically. The entire field that is you, that is going to connect to you. And that's what you probably felt with a tree.
There's another exercise when the year before I came here. In Ranta, one of the exercises is lay down.
Yeah.
Feel the water around you.
Yeah.
And make yourself the water.
Mm-hmm.
And I could do that very easily.
Mm-hmm.
All at once there were dolphins swimming around me, and you're moving with the waves of the water. And that's also then you're one and not sending out and getting back.
Yeah, but then there's still a limitation there. The limitation is that you become bigger, basically. You become bigger with all things around you. But there is a difference. It is about a different set of frequencies. It's about getting beyond a certain vibration. Actually, everybody who wants to do it can indeed meditate and sit down and become one with everything that is around you. But at that point, I'm talking about something that is quite different. I'm talking about the fact that you're going to become one with all things in such a way that the entire world is your body. And it's not about feeling at one with all around you, it is actually being one with all things around you. And to move an object as easy as you move your hand. You see? You wanted to say something? I'll be right back. Yeah.
I just wanted to acknowledge what you just said. The
Yeah.
experience that I had yesterday, I chose something at my home, so it was remote.
Also like you, yeah.
Yes. It was a statue of wood, and what I did, I wanted to make this exercise, but I felt it was very quick. So it didn't take much time, it was there very quick. And at a certain point in time, I became the wood. I was like stiffing up and became the wood, so that was what I felt.
Yeah.
So then I stayed in that state because it felt good.
Yeah.
And then after that I just released. But it was in fact very simple interaction.
It's a very simple exchange. And obviously, like I said, it's just the first phase. We'll take this way beyond that. And obviously it's not about learning how to move an object, because that's just a trick, obviously. And that's not what we're aiming for. We are aiming for a full energetic blending of complete consciousness, where you have the same ability that you have with your body today, all around you. And you could also do that exercise where you become one with the water, as Ramsa has shown you, and that's a good exercise. But actually, it's going to go way beyond that. It's actually not becoming the waves, but creating the waves.
Getting one with the wood.
Yes, but could you, for instance, choose to create a wave at that point? Could you have a...
More or less the movement. You get one with the movement.
Yeah, yeah.
And with the trees now, I don't feel the tree, and the tree is not becoming me, but it's the energy.
Yes, but you are saying becoming one with the movement. I'm talking about creating the movement. You see?
Yeah.
Because if you could lie down and you could become one with the thing that is around you, like the water, but actually what you're forgetting is that that's still coming outside of you, because you are feeling the movement then, like you are lying on the water, like you're one with it, but I'm talking about the source of emission again, a creative potential, you see? So it's actually going to go way beyond that. We are constantly creating our reality, and if we believe that we can become one with something and then feel its movement, then we're still thinking from the outside in. I'm thinking from the inside out.
It's becoming the heart of all things.
Yes, and the expression of all things as well, like I think Ikara said yesterday. So what you do, the exercise with the water or with the walk that you do, it's a good first exercise, but then you take it a step further, you see? So that's what we're going to be working.
Yes.
I tried yesterday evening make contact with the moon, but
Could you hold
he
it
was
a
so
little bit
high.
closer to your
He
mouth?
was so high, and it hurts me.
The wall?
No, the moon.
Oh, the moon, yeah.
And later on, there was not so much inside of the room, and I decided to look to the magnetron, but it don't work. But this morning I was awake early, and I made contact with the television. But I only have seen movement. He was close, he was away, there was light around the television, and that's the only thing I have.
Okay, great. I'm actually going to stop everybody here for a second, because I'm finding that there is a problem with understanding what actually was said yesterday. Everybody keeps saying about making contact with an object. It's not about contacting a tree, it's not about contacting a television, it's not about making contact with. It is being the expression of all things. And that is quite different. Being the expression of all things. Now what could that mean? Let's focus on that for a while here, because you could do tricks. You could say, oh, there's a nice little Buddha here, and I'm going to hold it in front of me, and I see that there's wood, and I'm going to try to become one with that wood. You could become one with it. Or you could say, I'm going to exchange with it. But as you have listened to the channel from Akara yesterday, and I understand it was a difficult channel, I do, especially with the things going on. And, actually, I'm thinking of giving you the chance at one point during the seminar evenings to. I'm gonna play that again for those who want to listen to it very clearly again, even if there's just 2 people who want to do that, I'm going to play that again probably tonight or something, because that's a very important channel, and also the one that we did last seminar, Mastering the Grand Illusions Part 1. So maybe we should do that 2 nights in a row. So let's do that, because being, thank you darling, being the expression of all things goes way beyond it. It goes to a point where you realize that you are watching you all the time, everywhere, not just through human eyes, but through every cell, every atom. It is an expression of all things, and that is what you are. Remember the last attribute that we spoke about yesterday? One of the last attributes, actually the last attributes that will show up in all illusions, is the point of perspective. And that is what I'm talking about, the point of perspective. You are now learning to change your point of perspective, but do not think for a minute that that is the length, the reach that this exercise will have. It's going to go way beyond that. It is about walking around on this planet Earth and choosing a point of perspective which is an expression of all things. I can only speak from my own experience. When I'm walking around here like now, I know that my legs are moving, but actually these legs are no more mine than those candles are mine. You see? If I'm standing here, and if I'm talking to you now, I don't see a lot of bodies sitting here, and that's my only point of perspective. Because that is what the brain would do, right? The brain and the mind would just focus on one point of perspective, and then saying, that is you. Okay, here's me, the observer, and there is the observed, or that is the observed, or that is the observed. It's all linear, by the way. You can only focus from the point of perspective from mind, you can only focus on one thing at the same time. And the focus can shift very quickly. I can, for instance, go through this room and not even focus on anything, really, just go through it. But what happens is that the mind will start categorizing, will say, oh, Brenda, Wilma, and very quickly, you get like a list. It's like an index of all the things, like looking at a stock. Yes? Oh, here you go. Rafa?
Is that why I felt always being watched?
Mm-hmm.
Even when I was in the country and there was nobody around me.
Yes.
I always felt watched, and every movement I did, I
Mm-hmm.
felt, oh, watch out, they're watching me.
You are watching you.
We are.
Yes.
You are watching you. Yeah, that's what's happening. And that's true. So, if you go around the room like this, and your mind is doing it all the time, constantly, do you know how tiring that is? It's constantly indexing everything your senses are processing. Your brain is constantly being fed information from the eyes and the ears and the taste and everything, and it's linear. It is one after the other. What I'm talking about is a full-on, total expression. It's complete. It's a totality on its own. I can't be in this room with you and think I am a unit. I can't. That is because my senses are no longer feeding information solely to the brain, because that's just 4/5 of the brain itself. There's a 5th element of the brain, which is the akene. It's an energy connection. It is the energetic part of your brain, much in the same way as the junk DNA is the energetic part of your 2 strands of biological DNA. And those 2 strands of biological DNA are very limited indeed, because all they can do is create a body that will eventually be flawed and die. All the other aspects are infinite. And the same goes for the akene. The akene is infinite energy. showing up in infinite dimensions of time and space all at once. Now, when I believe it was Akara told you yesterday that 3D is also an infinite field, separating itself in infinite tiny little bits, then it's not just about the molecules, it's not just about the electrons, it's also about all of you. So I can't stand here talking to you without perceiving myself at the same time through your eyes. That's what the Akane does. Because it's all being fed into the same database. You see, there is one Akane. One. And it's here, there, it's everywhere. It's in this, it's in my ring, it's everywhere. So you're constantly getting that feedback as well. Every point of perception is the expression of all things, and that's the totality. Otherwise, you are always limiting yourself. And you're finite then, instead of infinite. And there's the difference, you see? Now I know this isn't the easiest material to work with or to grasp at first, but it is where everything will eventually take you to, because you can do all the light work that you want, you can listen to all the channels that you want, and you can do all the exercises that you want. But if you listen to them for real, let's look at the group, for instance. Steve Rother's The Group. How many times hasn't he and the group told us, you are God? Yeah, and then you listen to those channels and you think, ooh, I'm God, nice. You know, Steve is at current, Steve is working on a book. So I'm God, now what? But it's a good next step, but there you are God, you know this now. Now what? What are you going to do with it? Are you going to just sit there and listen to more channels? Or are you actually going to start manifesting that fact into your daily reality? This exercise is a first step towards that. Being the expression of all things. Actually, I should say the expression within all things, but if I say within, then I'm separating the things again, and I don't like to do that. But I know it's very difficult to understand, because if you're sitting here in a position of mind, then indeed you are limited to one perspective, because the mind only has 12 frequencies to work with, and it can't use the outer range frequencies of the 144, which will allow you to blend with all things around you, so that you can become the expression of all things. And the Akane within that is the heart of all things, you see, which is your very core, your very essence. But let's get back to the exercise.
I tried the exercise with an image in the mirror. To step into myself in the mirror. So I was watching myself in the mirror, looking myself in the eyes.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it was a beautiful, beautiful thing happened. I got a wonderful slideshow. I saw myself like an aura picture, just colors, light, and I saw my face changing, like I saw all me's. And like you see on television sometimes, like the blending of the faces, and then it changes all the time.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw, and then all of a sudden it was the image watching me. That's the experience I had.
Well, that's a very fascinating experience, because you would think that you saw past lives, but you didn't. What you actually saw were people that were in the vicinity around you.
Quite a few then.
Yeah. I don't mean in the vicinity around you. I mean like in, let's say, 1 kilometer all around you. People
But
that
they all look like me.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
you are there.
Yeah, because that's what Nanda is saying, because you are them.
Well, it was wonderful anyway. It was
Yeah.
like a slideshow. Like
Yeah. Well, you will feel... Let's answer this. if I ask you, because you said they look like me, if I ask you, what do you look like? Are you going to tell me, oh, I've got black hair, and I've got blue eyes, and I look like this? No, what do you look like? Try to answer that question. What do you look like?
Well, in the mirror I only saw light and colors.
There you go. There you go. So, when you said they all look like me, what did you mean then?
The facial expressions looks like I think I'm mine.
Well, what you saw with the light and the colors and everything, that's often so very fascinating. We try to keep that separation going for as long as we can, because we all got these bodies, right, that we're working with, and then we get to a state of energy. And then we still, like the higher self, or like whatever type of energy we try to say, oh, but my energy looks like this. And your energy looks like that. You are purple, I am green. You are all that is.
It changes all the time.
Yeah. But the scale on which it changes is based on the human condition. You see? Unity consciousness. Your energy has nothing to do with your mood. It has nothing to do, because the 70s talked about that, like the mood rings and stuff. You know, your energy has everything to do with your mood. That's a lie. Your energy is completely part of the whole and will blend and change and shift depending on the state of unity consciousness. We are more alike than you would want to think, everybody. And this is a frame of mind that you really have to get rid of. That's why Ikara and later on, thank you, that's why Ikara and later on Adamus was so very fierce about letting go of your humanity. Now, yesterday we didn't continue speaking about that, but actually, if I'm really honest, I'm looking at you today and I'm seeing all of you here and I'm wondering, much in the same way sometimes as Ikara was wondering yesterday, why you are still sitting here the same person that you were yesterday. Let's go into that before we continue with the rest of the exercise. Why are you still in the same identity? Why are you still sitting here? And why haven't you changed your total perspective about yourself? Why are you still holding on to who you are and your story? Why are you still doing that?
Doing.
Zijn we dat? Dezelfde
Yes.
persoon?
Yes.
Er is toch een verandering van perspectief, er is een change of perspective.
Is there a change of perspective? A real one?
When I came home from the second seminar,
Yeah.
my environment was changed. The impact of the environment was changed.
Okay. But you're still in a field of personality.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about things that happened during the second seminar. I'm talking actually about what Ikara told us last night, or in the afternoon. What was being said then had such a profound impact. Actually, those last two channels by Ikara had such a profound impact. And I don't see that impact showing up in everybody's lives. And that, I think, is strange. People are still telling themselves the same story. And still using the same fears, only they are a little bit more blocked. Now, this isn't so very strange, obviously, because you've been doing that all your lives. and you've been telling yourself story after story after story all your life, just changing the way the story goes a little bit so that you think you have evolved. You really haven't. I'm not talking about the root of the things that are changing. There are things changing, obviously, because like you said, your perspective on things is changing. But I'm just telling you to go further. I'm just telling you to not see this as a step-by-step program, because then we can do 500 seminars in a row. What I'm telling you actually is that it's a moment, a split moment of decision in which everything changes. You see? But the interesting thing is to notice how comfortable the room gets when I speak about these things. Because everybody feels, but I did do the things. I did work on myself. I have been doing it. Yes, but you haven't done it all the way.
How did you do it all the way then?
To let go of your story.
Forget about stories.
Let go of the story. Let go of the story that is attached to the name Yvonne in your case. I'm sorry to tell you this, to break you this news, but Yvonne is an illusion. The personality was created by the mind in your ego so that you could have a linear existence. If you want to step away from that linear existence, you're going to have to step away from that which is experiencing your limited existence. And that is Yvonne. I don't mean that you're going to have to say, okay, I'm not Yvonne, my name is now Zina. I'm just saying something. Bullshit. That's not what it's about, you see? But this is really about going way beyond all of it, about going further. Really further than you've ever gone. And I see it, actually, we've been teaching this material now, and I've done it in little groups before we started opening up for seminars. We've been teaching the material now for months, actually, if you look before that, for so many years. And there are very, very few people who actually completely, fully and utterly let go, because they still think they're gonna fall. And then I wonder, how many times can you say you're not gonna fall? Because everybody up to this point that has ever done that type of letting go, nobody has ever fallen. Anyone. No one. You see?
Why that fear then?
Why that fear? That's the mind. Well, it's the mind trying to keep you within that limited perspective.
But what's the fear?
The fear?
Yes, if I can change myself,
Yeah.
why should I have fear for that?
You don't have fear. Your mind has fear. You don't fear it, I know. Nobody here really fears it if they're in consciousness. It is just that you keep identifying yourself with the perspective of mind, because that's the only reason why the fear is showing up. So there is something holding you here, right?
What?
The mind. It is the mind and the illusions. But you are letting go of that now. And you're going to see the change that's going to happen in not just your life, because your life is also an illusion. All life is an illusion. But you're going to see it in your being, in your I am. And that's a whole new ballpark, so to speak, that you're going to step into. And that's what I've been trying to tell people for so very long. But also those in the new fellowship that I have formed, most of them aren't doing it either. We are still continuing with all those stories, and if you're going to keep on saying, this is my family, and this is the amount of money that I have, and this is who I am, then you're screwed. It's that simple. You're simply screwed, because the universe is no longer going to support that sort of thing. That is why so many people are coming out with this type of information. The new neurons showing up in the brain alone, which are based on neutrality, are showing you that the concept of duality will no longer be supported. It is there right in the science. And the science is not bringing it out. Because they are afraid, very afraid, because science these days... Do you know that all science is just about 5% of independent scientists still working? All the rest of scientific research is supported by governments, by big companies, international companies, etc., etc., etc. And once types of results are coming out that are going against what companies and governments want, believe me, the science doesn't get out. Do you really think the cure for the common cold hasn't been found yet? Do you really think they can't cure AIDS when they have brought it onto the planet themselves? Do you really think that they can't cure cancer? It's much more interesting to keep on selling all those medicines. And that's just one field of science. You really have to stop believing everything that the world is telling you, and you don't even have to start believing what I am telling you right now. Just look at yourself. Look into your very heart.
I'd like to ask you a question. What's your feeling about this thing? I have heard so many times, and in my feeling it's there too. There's a triangle of money, love and sexuality, and that human beings are doing now healing on that kind of subjects. So there has been so much misuse and power on those things, and I remember them in former lives. And maybe this is what me stuck also in the past, because I can recognize this is about stories too.
Yes.
When you can let go this kind of things, then maybe you are more free.
Yeah.
But also there is a part in me, maybe there's kind of feeling, but what's your feeling about this?
Well, you know, all the things that we are talking about, you're talking about money, love and sex, sexuality. A lot of stories are based on those things. Only you should say conditional love, because there's also something like universal love, but so much conditional love is what is feeding the stories and what is telling you to stay together and to form this connection and to be the twin flame and to, you know, whatever. It's just bullshit. You know, back in Lemuria, we used to believe in the concept of twin flame as well. But it was quite a different concept. It was about people making a connection and then allowing that connection to flood all over humanity. It's quite a different thing. It's quite a different thing. Because then that connection, the moment it starts spreading, you are no longer owning that connection. You're no longer owning it. It isn't part of you anymore. It is a type of love that is showing up throughout all that is. And then there is nothing more special about those two people being together or you being together with someone else or someone else. So about love, that's a totally different ballpark already there. Money, obviously, is one of the biggest limitations that we can put upon ourselves, because that's where the biggest fear is coming from. I'm not having enough money, I'm not having enough sex, and I'm not having enough love. I think that sums up the needs of everybody on this planet Earth. And those three things need instant gratification, if at all possible. That's what people want. Instant gratification, instant pleasure, right? So, is there a healing process going on? Yes, obviously. But in my view, it is still going on within the boundaries of the mind. because you need to get totally away from that triangle. Because those three things are really not important at all. Not the conditional nature of them. So you need to get away from that, I believe. Getting away from the stories then is something that is more fundamental and more drastic than anything else. You know, if I look at what has been happening to planet Earth in the last hundreds of years, and if I look at the state of people's minds, and if I look at the things, the great gifts that have been brought back to planet Earth and all the insights, then I think it is a real shame to see that people are still not making better choices. Seminars such as this one are meant to help you aim for better choices. But better choices are not about different ways of living. They are not about improving your family life. They are not about improving your financial situation. You don't find abundance in that respect. It is completely about becoming that one source. And if you don't do that, well, then it's going to be very boring 5 days, because you're just going to sit here. You're just going to sit here, Becca. Yeah. And then we're going to go into a break.
So what's the point?
My point?
What's the changing you are waiting for?
Everything. I'm sorry. Everything. You still play the human game. You do. You're still playing the game of reality, of being human. You're still doing all those things. And that is what keeps holding everybody back. And I'm not just talking about the people here, I'm talking about the fellowship as well, I'm talking about so many people on planet Earth. Yes?
Do you have an example of a group who is living together, or people who are doing this beyond human? So it's, yeah.
No, there is not a group that I could speak about, at least. Not one that is, let's say, it is not a group that is located within this level of 3D right now. There are other levels of 3D, obviously, where the same thing is being lived, yes. And these seminars could go as far as to introduce you to those worlds and to take you there. But then people are going to have to stop playing their games. You know? I can bore you to death probably by saying all of these things, but I can't pinpoint it enough. But let's go into a break now, and we'll be right back. I don't know what time it is. I'm gonna check it out here. It's 11:22. So let's come back at 11:45. Just get some air, and then we'll quickly go on. Okay?